Welcome. Just walking the docks down here in Valdez, Alaska. I'll walk down and we'll check out some of the boats. Welcome everybody. Just walking the dock, clearing my head. Finally got the motor on the boat pulled apart a little bit, and she's done for the season. So figured I'd just walk the dock and clear my mind and let y'all enjoy the scenery. We're down here in Valdez, Alaska. Just walking the dock. Over there is a couple of the guide boats. The Valdez Spirit there, twin hull catamaran, the big white one. Takes you out whale watching, glacier tours, things like that. I've seen them out chasing some whales a couple of times. Yeah, that one's for sale if anybody wants a sailboat. Across the way, I'll pan over here to the right, the Cornelia Marie. They, all the signers are a little bit smaller. They all offload onto the bigger ships, and then the bigger ships bring them in for processing. So that's what that's doing. Welcome everybody. Just walking the docks here in Valdez, taking a look at all the different boats. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. This is Valdez, Alaska. It's not scripted like the other shows you see. I'm just kind of walking around. Came down to work on the boat and pulled it apart, and it is not fixable in the slip, so I've got to go get the trailer, bring it down, and pull it out of the water. Lolly, there was a tsunami warning with the earthquake. Then the warning got canceled. There wasn't actually one that came through, so more or less just an alarm. Up here we go. This one's for sale too. If anybody wants a nice big long motor yacht, that one's for sale. So you got on this side of the harbor that I'm on this half, you've got A through G, and then you go to the other half, and I think it goes through L or M, and then there's a second harbor over that big green rock in the background. Second harbor over there for the larger fishing vessels that come in and need some spots. But hopefully today the clouds burn off and we've got another beautiful day like we did yesterday. For me, it's warm. It's in the 60s. Just another beautiful Alaskan day. For me, it doesn't feel cold, but that's because I live here year round. So 60 degrees is perfect. Up in Fairbanks last week, it hit the 80s and I wanted to die. But I prefer the cold. Here we've got a couple of bow pickers on the right. So they drop the nets and then they come back in on the bows. And then these are the larger motor boats that are on this side, and then as we go down they get smaller and usually just people's personal boats. This looks like it's out of place. That should probably go back to Florida. Don't need a tower up here, but that's my opinion. Yeah, 110 is definitely hot. Yeah, just another beautiful day in Valdez. No rain. Even though there are some clouds, they're starting to lift. Hopefully they can burn off. Welcome from New Mexico. I've been there. Went to the UFO museum. Mine's down in G row. It's a Bayliner 2459 Sierra. We'll walk past it. It's the very last row. I'll point it out, but it's broken. The exhaust manifold's cracked and I got water on the valves and in the cylinders, and it sat there for the last 3 weeks and now the engine is probably seized and rusted shut. So the water, I wouldn't drink it. It's salt water, it's brackish, but it does look very nice. It is, the camera probably doesn't do it justice. It's kind of a greenish teal because of all the glacial silt. There's lots of glaciers around. Probably not going to be able to show you any at the moment because they're covered in the clouds. That way there's Chute Bay, there's a glacier. There's a glacier over here to the right, and 6 or 7 streams that come into the Valdez Arm here that are all just glacial runoff. So, and then if you've looked at any of the other videos, or if you follow Blue Nomad over there, those mountains across the bay, that's where the hatchery is. I went out there and caught my limit of pinks. Didn't take too long. Came back and filleted them. They're in the cooler. Probably go try and catch some silvers out at the pier later this afternoon, and then I'll probably call it a wraps and drive home, since there's not much more I can do on the boat to fix it here in the water. So welcome everybody. If you do like Alaska things, be sure to like and follow. As I go throughout the state doing stuff, I'll definitely do more lives, more videos. This winter I'll plan on doing some stuff with the northern lights. They're usually visible quite often where I'm at, up in the interior. But currently we still got about 20 hours of daylight, so not quite visible yet. Hi. Oh, nice. This one's for sale if anybody wants a new boat. Most of the boaters are actually out. Like this particular slip and those slips are empty. All the charter boats leave at about 6-7 a.m. So they're out on the water. The spot that I go fishing is between 30 and 60 miles out by Hitchin Brook, out by Glacier Island. So you got to get up and get at it earlier. You're not going to have much time to fish during the day. So most of these boats are here all day, and a lot of people come in on the weekends. So tonight, tomorrow, this place will be packed a lot more. It's still fairly early. Valdez is about a 6-hour drive from Anchorage and about a 6-hour drive from Fairbanks. So either way, you're about 6 hours. A lot of the people that are out of Anchorage tend to go to Whittier, go through the tunnel, or go out of Seward. Not quite as far, much closer. So a lot of people tend to go to the places that are closest to them. Ketchikan is in southeast Alaska, and I don't know the exact distance. I want to say it's about 2,000 miles. I did stop there when I took the ferry out of here when I was leaving the first time back in 2011. But it's closer to Seattle than it is to us. But here in Valdez, you can get on the ferry to take you to Haines, and then you would change ferries from Haines and go down through Ketchikan and Juneau and to Bellingham. I didn't name my boat because it's used, but it is called Summertime. It's got a well painted on it, and I'll show you that when we get down to Road G. We're now currently on Road D. And the further down we go, the smaller the boats will get. The way that they charge stuff is by the length of your boat and the width. So you've got your beam, you've got your length, and that's how the slips are made. So that way they can fit 2 boats in each slip. But sometimes they run out of spots, so every once in a while you'll see a small boat like the Sea Dory here in one of the bigger parking spaces, but usually people like myself don't mind that because that gives us more room. So here's another sailboat if anybody wants a sailboat that's for sale. But just walking the docks here in Valdez, Alaska. Ooh, that's a pretty tug. I want to say that's a Nordic Tug brand right there. Very pretty maroon. Wait for the camera to kind of center back up on it. Very nice. Welcome everybody, this is Valdez, Alaska. I'm just kind of walking the boat dock. Kind of clear my mind. I'm frustrated at my boat for being broken. But I guess if anybody in here's had a boat, then they know that's normal. These are what I really like, is the Kingfishers. This water does not freeze with us being in Valdez. That's why the oil pipeline comes here, because it's an ice-free port in the winter. But they do get 300, I'm saying that correctly, inches of snow on average a year. So it does still snow a lot. But yeah, all the oil ships come out of here, and the port is ice-free. So that's why the pipeline comes down here. It is the closest spot that they could get that would allow the ships to fill up year-round. Thank you for following. I appreciate that. I'll be doing more lives as I travel throughout Alaska and sharing it. I love the state. I've been here 4 years since I moved back in 2017, and then I was here for 3 years before that. So I grew up in Washington, but I consider myself an Alaskan. It's kind of hard to move away when you're surrounded by such natural beauty. This is one of the fish cleaning stations. So when we get back, we can clean our catch, rinse it off, cut it all up. It gets cleaned every day. There are brown bears around, mostly on the other side of the harbor. Every once in a while, if you catch them late at night, they come out and start feeding on the salmon. I saw one when I was back here in 2009, and I saw one a couple weeks ago as I was leaving town, but they kind of stay away. They're kind of elusive. So, but they are in the area. Not here in the city, but in the general vicinity, they are around. I have not ever had fresh caviar from the salmon roe. I do like sushi, but I'm not really a caviar fan. And to be honest, I don't even keep the eggs to make bait with. A lot of people keep the salmon eggs and cure them into bait. I don't have enough time, unfortunately. But yeah, the camera, it doesn't do it justice. It only gives us a glimpse. It is much better in person, so if you have not had the chance and you want to visit Alaska, I can't say enough good things about it. It is definitely a trip of a lifetime for many people. A couple weeks ago, I had 2 of my uncles come up and my dad, and I took them out fishing for 3 days. That's when the boat broke, and been trying to get it back up ever since. But we did catch 3 nice size halibut, an 85-pounder, a 50-pounder, and a 30-pounder. So they were able to go home with some good amount of halibut back to Utah, which is not readily available in the central states. Like I said, I'm a fan of the kingfishers. I don't know, I like how they look. So, I know I probably am repeating myself a lot, but people come and go. This is Valdez, Alaska. I'm just walking the boat dock, just sharing what it looks like, because it is beautiful. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate that. Help me grow, get more content. One thing that you can probably see, like on that boat, has that big green and yellow circle on it. That's how you know they're charter boats. Except I know the owner of that one. It's no longer a charter. That sticker's from 2019, but like this RH boat and then this Kingfisher don't have that sticker. So these are privately owned boats. So when you see a nice, super expensive boat, you can tell, oh hey, that person is a charter. That one's got a sticker from 2019, but like I said, I know the owner. He's a co-worker, so that's actually a private boat. They'll be down this weekend. They just had their third kid. He was disappointed he couldn't come fishing because his wife was pregnant. They usually go out on multi-day trips, camp in the bays overnight, drop shrimp pots. So there's lots to do besides just boating. A lot of people come down and ride trails with their four-wheelers and ATVs. So now we're getting into more of the smaller personal boats. People come in and drop them off, and they go out and do their thing. Prince William Sound has a lot of shrimping opportunities. They've got tiger and I believe striped shrimp, and the shrimp can be up to the size of a soda can. So they come out and they're pretty big. Crabbing boats, do you mean like Deadliest Catch type crabbing boats? Not here. That's mostly done out of Homer, and then they go out of Dutch Harbor, which is in the Aleutians. I don't even believe that there's any spots in the general area here to do crabbing. Most everybody just does shrimping on a personal level. But yeah, no commercial crabbers are out of Valdez. They're all they station out of Homer, but they drop all their loads off in Dutch Harbor. I'll pause for a moment at the end here and lean over the water a little bit. You can see some of the fish, the bigger ships down there for the fish processing. Well, thank you, Laura. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully I'm not driving you crazy. I don't like necessarily the sound of my own voice, so narrating this is definitely out of my comfort zone. But since I'm walking and answering questions, I can't really type. So, thank you everybody for joining. I'm just walking the docks here in Valdez, Alaska. I'm gonna give you a quick pan around of the mountains. One of my favorite places to visit. I still need to come down here in the winter and experience the snow. But this is my 4th trip already this year. I usually take about 10. I take friends and family out fishing just because the charters are $250 to $350 a person, I think, right now. So if you got a family of 4, to go out fishing on a charter for a day is a little expensive. The phone I've got the S21. It's not the Ultra. It was the smaller one. I don't like big phones. It's just what AT&T had at the time. Before that, I had the Asus Zenfone 5, but the camera stopped working. It wouldn't focus, and so I knew if I was going to do anything like this, I needed one with a new camera. But I also didn't want a $40 or $50 a month phone bill just for a phone, so I appreciate that. And it's just the basic S21 that they had on the showroom floor. So as you can see, there's a bunch of different types of boats: cuddy cabins, open bows, a couple different types of shrimp pots. These ones are open pots, and those ones are a little easier to store. They fold into each other. And then you got kind of more like this that are the hard, rigid shrimp pots. These ones are octagon, mine are square. But you just drop them down to the bottom and give them a couple hours and then come pick them back up. Minimum people needed for the charter. that depends on the charter. Most of these boats that are the size that we've seen here, that are your 25 to 30 footers per se, are going to be called a 6-pack, meaning they take 6 passengers. So usually if you're just one person, usually you can call ahead and find an open spot, because it's not too often that 6 people at a time that know each other come in and say, hey, we want to rent the boat. But that would be based on, yeah, each individual charter. I know they'd like to have 6 people each time, but sometimes that just doesn't happen. So thank you for the follows. Just down here, Valdez, Alaska, walking the dock. It's sun's coming out. It's starting to get a little bit warmer. Another fish cleaning station here at the end of G Dock. And then what we've got here, this big wooden pier, we've got a lift up there at the top so that the big commercial boats can get pulled out. The other week there was one that had a rope stuck around its prop, so it got pulled out. They got that pulled off, and then back in the water and back out fishing they go. So this is G Dock, and this is where my boat is. It's parked down here on the end. So I'll give you guys a little tour of that. If anybody in here is a boat person, I know that a lot of people look down on bayliners, but if you ever walk the dock in Alaska, they're full of bayliners. So Alaska's got some rough waters. They're not that bad of a boat. Sure, they've got their shortcomings. Sure, mine's completely broken right now, but there's a ton of them here in the harbor because they do last and they're good hulls. So here's mine coming up on the left. It's called the Summertime. I have 3 daughters and my wife, so I needed one that had a stand-up head and had room for the kids to lay down, and this fit the bill. So that one's mine. You can see the shrimp pots up top. Want to learn boating, want to move north to Oregon to go fishing, need to know boats. Well, they need to float, and they need to have enough power, and you probably want something to be a backup. So the modern outboards are a lot more reliable, but a lot of the boats like this Kingfisher have twin outboards. That way if one engine does happen to die, you're able to get back in a decent time. Like I said, mine, I got back on the second motor. It's a little 10-horse kicker. Yeah, it's over there, but it took 10 hours to get back because I was 30 miles out. So, but they can be fun. They can also be dangerous if you get into a situation where weather turns real quick. And the first day that we went out, the water was smooth, and as soon as we came around the corner of the island, the wind picked up to 15 knots and waves got real big real quick. So we had to make it home, and it took a little extra time to get home. So, give you another 360 little tour here. Yep, 30 miles out. The Valdez Arm, just to the Narrows, is 10 miles. And then Glacier Island is about another 20. The furthest I've been out on my boat was to Hitchinbrook, which is by where the Exxon Valdez crashed. And that was 62 miles out. So, fishing out of Valdez, when the silvers and the pinks are in, if you're trolling for salmon, you know, you can catch them from the shore. You can go out and troll right here in the bay and usually do pretty good. but usually for the bigger fish, the halibut and stuff like that, you got to go out into some more uncharted territories. You don't have to necessarily go deep. Most of the halibut that I caught, to include that 85 pounder that my dad caught, we were in 120, 130 feet of water. So they're not deep because they follow the salmon and all the other bait fish up and in, but you got to find the right structure. So there is a derby every year for the silver salmon and the halibut, and they've got weekly prizes. And they've got the yearly top prize for the biggest fish, and right now the biggest halibut is 212 pounds for this year. The record, I want to say, was 343 or 383. We'll check on it here in a minute when I go back up to the top. So up here we've got the harbor master's office, where everybody pays to slip their boat, and then the main fish cleaning. So come about 5-6 o'clock tonight, that place up there with the green roof will have 30-40 people all sitting there waiting to get their fish clean. There are people that live here and or come down for the summer just to clean the fish, because a lot of times if you're from out of town and this is your trip of a lifetime, you don't necessarily want to go buy all this stuff and clean fish. So there's people willing to do it. They don't charge very much and they're pretty efficient. So we'll go up the ramp here. The tide is going out, so this will get steeper as the tide goes out. Hi La Coco, welcome. Just got done walking the docks. So this is kind of the town. It's not too big. You got about 3 blocks that way and then about 2.5 blocks the other way, and that's really the town. A couple small restaurants, the boat harbor, a couple of fish processing places. So this is where they clean the fish. They got a nice sign. This is new this year. There's always been a sign, but this is a new sign. They just redid it. So you can hang your fish up, take some pictures, make some good memories. And yeah, the wheelbarrows here, that's for hauling all the fish up. Last thing you want to do is carry a couple 100 pounds of halibut and rockfish up here by hand. So keep going down the dock here. There's more docks on the other side, and then all the guts carcasses go in the channel there. They get flushed down, and then the birds have a smorgasbord, and then at the end of the day, those barrels down at the bottom that are floating, they take those out somewhere and dump them, or give them to the processor to be turned into some byproduct. Not quite sure on that. Hey, you're welcome, Lenny. Thanks for the follows, everybody. I appreciate it. So we'll keep going. There are a few hotels, but nothing like the Marriott. You got a Best Western and then a couple of independent hotels, a couple of RV parks. So if you were to plan a vacation and say fly into Anchorage, rent an RV, nice thing about Alaska is you don't necessarily have to stay at a campground or at an RV park. They don't harass you if you just pull over the side of the road. There's lots of spots that people just pull over and spend the night, little turnouts. So grab a sip of my drink here, sorry. Give you guys kind of a nice overview of what we just walked through. That depends on who you ask. If you look at the charts, like for Fairbanks and Anchorage on a per capita, we're up there with New York. But New York has 10 million people where we've got 750,000 in the state. So on the per capita, we're equal to New York, but you know, Anchorage, it's obviously worse. It's a larger city. Fairbanks being a little smaller, not so much. Here in Valdez, I wouldn't say too much. I mean, there's not like a whole police force. There's a couple of police. But Alaska is also a constitutional carry state, and there's two types of people: those that want to get lost and those that don't want to be found, and that live in Alaska. And hate to be one person who takes something from somebody who don't want to be found. Common crimes in Anchorage is going to be your auto theft, and then drugs are common in the bigger cities. I don't worry too much about crime. I'll be honest, my car's probably unlocked right now with $400 or $500 worth of fishing gear sitting in the back. My boat, I lock that because I'm gone for a couple weeks, but it's just a little twist lock. If somebody wanted in there, they could get in there. Let's see here if I missed any questions here. Not really. So. Yeah, I wouldn't say that we've got a high murder rate, but I mean, Alaska's a big state, so it's easy for people who disappear. That's probably our biggest problem, is people disappear and nobody knows what happened to them. You'll go for a walk in the middle of the winter and it's -40 and nobody's gonna find you, unfortunately. So we do have a lot of disappearances. So here's the other half of the docks after that split for the large vessels being pulled out. I don't know if you guys can see how steep this is. So as the tide will go out, this will get steeper, and as the tide comes back in, it gets less steep, so it just kind of floats and rolls in and out. Maybe something like that. Is it getting cold there yet? Not really. It's still in the 60s. Looks like we got a slight breeze that just picked up. But it's, for all intents and purposes, it's normal summer weather for Valdez. So this is the Transient Dock right here to the right. So these are people who come in and only here for a day or two, passing through, refuel, restock up on groceries, things of that nature. The last couple nights there have been some of the fishing boats parked here because they don't need power, and just waiting to head back out and catch some silvers. There are certain days that they can fish and certain days that they can't, and usually it's okay, it's going to be open tomorrow for you guys, or it's not. They don't have a whole lot of notice. So we actually do get ducks in the spring coming in, and there's what is it, Creamer's Field in Fairbanks that they do kind of a raffle. You can put a time and date that the geese show back up, and so they do come in the spring once the snow starts melting, and it's anybody's guess when they show up. Baits, the hatchery is across the bay, so you got to drive around Valdez and across the river and then over, so it's about 15 miles from here, but it's virtually straight across the bay. I was out there last night for a couple hours, got my 6 pink salmon, and filmed for a little bit. There's a ton of salmon over there now. They're in there thick. There's almost no more room for more salmon, but that's how that happens. That's how that works. The deadliest catch, the actual ships are out in the Bering Sea. So if you hold your right hand out and look at it with your thumb pointing down, kind of off your index finger is the Aleutian chain, and then it's east to there, and we're kind of where the middle of your thumb and finger are. Hey, what's up, Shoma? Yep, it's me. How's Colorado treating you and your family? I'm just out here walking the docks. Came down to work on my boat, and the exhaust manifolds are cracked, so I've got rusted valve intake, or exhaust intake. Oh, I can't speak. Rusted exhaust valves, cracked exhaust manifolds, and my engine seized. So good times for me. I gotta go get the trailer, bring it back down here in the next couple weeks, and get the boat pulled out and pull the motor. So just kind of giving it a tour and taking up some time and blowing off some steam. So here's another brand of boat that I do like is Osprey. This is a 30-footer with twin inboards. The diesels are gas. So twin inboard diesels, so pretty fuel efficient, nice stable platform, good offshore boat. Those are made up in Bremerton now. It's Osprey, Sea Sport, and then a couple other brands all in the same factory. See you, Shoma. Shoma was in one of the units I was in up here in Fairbanks, and his son is a very athletic person. Is going to college in Colorado at the moment, so they all moved out there to support him once he retired. So yep, these are the more expensive, some of the more expensive boats. Some nice 40-footers. Yep, that was a North River. Aluminum boats are popular here. I'll swing back around to it. Looks like it's got twin Yami 300s, and that one is a charter boat, so that would be one of your 6-pack charters. Don't know why he's not out today, but yeah, maybe they took a break, maybe they didn't have enough people. And then here's a Wooldridge. Those are made in Seattle by the Wooldridge family. That looks like probably a custom job. Yeah, North Rivers are good boats. My wife always yells at me because I'll come home from work and watch 2 or 3 hours of boat videos on YouTube. She thought it would end when I bought my boat. She was wrong. But yeah, North River makes fantastic stuff. I don't think actually there's really a bad aluminum boat builder. Maybe RH, maybe Lund, but we can have that debate another time. Nice. Yeah, Lake Erie, the water can get rough, and back east people are starting to find out that aluminum boats are worth the money. Yeah, this probably is a lot cleaner than the Chesapeake. A lot less pollution. Until, of course, you know, stuff like oil ships running aground. But that was a while ago, but that was out of this port. Oh, here we go. This guy's got a nice halibut, probably 85 to 90 pounder that he's dragging. Ocean Sports, those are also very well built glass boats. They hold their value extremely well. Thank you guys for the follows. I appreciate that. How big was she?
On the scale there, 85.
85. Awesome. So that's a halibut. Nice big flat fish.
That's a halibut right there.
They are, yeah, they are delicious. And that's kind of primarily what I fish for, is the halibut. Just because it's a white fish. It doesn't taste fishy. It's juicy. It's tender. And they're fun to pull up. It's literally like pulling up a sheet of plywood off of the bottom of the ocean. So you'll see a lot of aluminum boats out here as well, just because they have the reputation of being able to run hard and not have many hull issues. You don't have to worry about the cracking fiberglass or delamination or water intrusion. So nice. I need to talk to you then, Dylan, because when I needed a tow, I called Progressive. They don't have a boat here in Valdez. They're out of Whittier, which is 70 miles away from here. They wouldn't come get me when Progressive called them. They said I was too far away. So I had to use my 10-horse kicker to get back. So lots of huge crafts, lots of, like I said, bayliners. A lot of people throw shade on them, but in my opinion, yes, they have their issues, but they're good hulls. They hold up real well, and there's a ton of them up here in Alaska. Maybe it's because we're cheap. I don't know. I mean, that's why I got my bayliner. It was in my budget. I would love to afford a $250,000 Kingfisher or Hughes craft, but you know, the bayliner was in my price range. I have Progressive, which does have its own towing. Essentially, they call tow boats or Boat USAA and schedule everything, and then they come out and get us. What's the best time to visit Alaska? That depends. If you want to come fish, then I would recommend the summer, because when it's in the negatives, it's not really fun to be out in the water. But if you want to see the northern lights, then you got to come up in either the early spring when it's still cold, or during the winter because it's dark. It's hard to see the northern lights past April just because it's too light, too long. So, hi Arizona. Yeah, I think the main issue was just there's so much traffic going in and out of Whittier that even the weekend before, they've got 2 boats out of Whittier. There was still a 4-hour wait because there are just too many boats that they had to go get. So I think the idea of them coming up 40 miles to get me and tow me another 30 back into Valdez and then have to go back 70 miles to Whittier just wasn't worth it for them. So, like I said, they don't have a boat here in Valdez. If they did, then it would be a little different, but I wasn't too concerned about it because I did have the 10-horse kicker and the water was literally like glass out on the bay. So, yeah, it took us 10 hours to get back, but we got back and, you know, stuff happens. Well, I appreciate that, Dylan. Anytime you want to come up to Alaska, bring your boat. There's definitely a need here in Valdez. No. Only for me. If you were to do a cruise, that's a tough one. The cruises don't come here to Valdez. They go Ketchikan and Seward occasionally. Most of it's just southeast Alaska. So they are a lot warmer than us because they're a lot closer to the continental 48 states and lower in latitude. But if you're on a cruise, there's not really a bad season. I mean, so I guess it just depends on how much cold could you tolerate. And if you could tolerate, colder temps, then April and May is not going to be too bad. But June, July, and August is when it's definitely warmer. And when I say warmer, I mean 60 to 70 degrees. Occasionally up in the interior we'll hit 90 every once in a while. Last week was 80 and we were dying. But I love coming down here, the mountains, the water. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It is. I wish the camera would actually do it justice. I know that you guys are probably thinking that it does, but it's so much better in person. The colors and the atmosphere, it's just another reason why I love living in Alaska. It's just so beautiful all the time. This is Valdez, Alaska. I'm just walking the boat ramp. This is actually the last row of the boat dock here on this side. This is Valdez, Alaska. And just got done walking the boat ramp. So I'll walk back up to the top and give everybody another 360 tour. Thanks, Dylan. It's overcast, cloudy. We got a light wind and it's probably in the mid 60s or high 50s. To me, it's perfect weather right now. Just wearing a long sleeve t-shirt and I'm comfortable.
How's it going?
It's going. Yep, the oil spill. That was a while ago, but that was out of this port. Alaska is part of the U.S., but it's north and east of Canada, or sorry, north and west of Canada. Nope, they had this tsunami warning, and then a couple hours later it was canceled, and that was about the end of it. Yeah, East Tennessee. Yep, I was stationed at Fort Campbell. Can't do the heat and humidity anymore. It's too much for me. So I prefer the colder temps, and here we go. We'll do a nice 360 of the mountains. I have fished at the Homer Spit. I did that a lot when I was stationed up here and younger. And you could drive 14 hours in the day and go down and come back and not feel fatigued. But now that I'm in Fairbanks, Valdez is just a much easier drive to get to than taking the trip all the way to Homer. The winters here in Valdez, they get about 300 inches of snow. Up where I live in Fairbanks, you tend to see negative 20, 30 is common. The coldest I've been in is negative 58. The reds are running up the Copper River. They've been running for a while. It's probably coming near its end. Burr, it's perfect t-shirt weather. Perfect t-shirt weather. Although, to each their own. So here we got people cleaning some salmon. Looks like. So another pitcher spot here on the other side of the ramp. I guess it's relative. Crime is up in Fairbanks. I mean, there's only 80,000 of us, so I guess it depends. How do you keep... Well, they've all got... So most vehicles, I don't know if we'll see one here in the parking lot as I'm walking. We plug them in the winter. We got engine heating pads, block heaters, battery heaters, and transmission heaters. So here, we'll pan over to the car here real quick. So you plug it in and it keeps everything nice and toasty. Usually 2 to 3 hours of that plugged in before you start your car in the morning, and it's good to go. British Columbia is close to Alaska in the sense of the southeast Alaska. It's close to Ketchikan and Juneau in that area, but it is right next to Alaska. You got the Yukon Territory, and then below that is British Columbia. So it depends which part of British Columbia she lives in. If she lives in Vancouver, Victoria, that's roughly about 2,000 miles away from where I'm at. So you're welcome, Bates. So that was kind of the boat dock. We've got some dry storage boats that are in various states of disrepair like mine. Nope, no super antifreeze. We run it to -50 is kind of where we set our antifreeze at. Then either people park them in the garage or we just let them sit outside and warm them up. I hear that, hobbies. This was my first duty station and I refused to leave, but they sent me to Campbell, and after 6 long years I've been back here for 4. So hi from the UK. This is Valdez, Alaska. No, not really. I mean, it is summer, so as far as tourists go, I'd say it's about 60 to 80% of what's normal. Most of the people during the day, especially on a Friday, are already out on boats trying to catch some fish, but they all get back. I was with 6101, and then after that, I see your profile pic, I went over for Lockheed and did test flights and maintenance on the Chinooks over there on the other compound. So let's see, holy cow, lots of questions. Try and answer some of them real quick here. Dinner was delicious. It was some gas station food. You was my question answer, and the other, if you're talking about Blue Nomader and her lives over the hatchery, yes, I am one of her mods that was answering those questions. If that's what you mean, go Vols. Hook's awesome. Got to work with some of the canine handlers down at Campbell, and it's definitely interesting what they do. Hi from Texas. John, I'm just walking the docks in Valdez, Alaska. Sonny, my phone is a Samsung S21. It's not the Ultra, it's just the base model. And that looks like a bunch of questions. Yep, drove past the 5th group building many a time. Still don't know how you got your practice 130 in there. Hi, Sydney. Yep, I kind of miss working for Lockheed. They had some good benefits and some good TDY, but they aren't up here in Alaska, and this is where I wanted to be. Hi, Wisconsin. Hi, Tennessee. So this is the boat harbor of Valdez. Just walked the whole dock, every single slip, every single row, A through M. Afternoon, Montana. Hi, Scotland. Hi, Kentucky. This is Valdez, Alaska, the boat harbor. We just walked through it. You can't see the northern lights currently because it's summer. It's got to be dark up there, but where I'm at up in Fairbanks, you can see them quite often in the winter. Thank you, Reese. There was an earthquake there offshore out in the ocean a day or two ago, but no ill effects from that. Mill Talk, military TikTok. That's what that means. Hi everybody, thanks for joining. I'm trying to scroll through these questions as fast as I can. They're popping up faster than I can read. This is Valdez, Alaska, the boat harbor. We just walked all the rows. Yep, pretty much no ill effects from the earthquake. It was out in the middle of the ocean. The tsunami warning happened, and then a couple hours later it canceled, and there wasn't any big tsunami. So fortunately that turned out probably as best as it could. Have I ever met an Eskimo? Well, that depends on your definition of Eskimo. But yes, I have met natives, Inuits, Yupik. There are plenty that still live around here. Thank you everybody for the follows. I appreciate that. I'm going to try and continue to bring content from around Alaska that's not scripted like the Kilchers or Deadliest Catch. With a big earthquake in the ocean, that is kind of a normal thing. It's kind of expected that, hey, if there's an earthquake, then high probability that it's going to occur, and we'd rather get everybody out and moving around than it not be, or than it happen and nobody's ready for it. So thank you everybody for the follows. It is absolutely gorgeous. One of my favorite places to visit. I come down here multiple times. This is my, what did I say earlier? I think my 4th or 5th trip down. Unfortunately, the last 2 and this one have been to try and fix my boat, but it is hard broke. So the next trip will be to pull the boat out of the water so I can get it fixed on land. Want to take a vacation in Alaska? Where should you go? Well, that depends on what exactly you want to see. And some people, if they just want to see the ocean, they want to see the mountains, then a cruise is a good way. But if you want to see the animals and the moose and the bears and take a tour of Denali, then I would recommend probably renting an RV and traveling throughout the state on your own. Nope, you can't see Russia from Sarah Palin's house, but you can see Russia from Little Diomede Island. That's out north and west of here. What fish are here? Well, we've got I think like 15 different species of rockfish, halibut, lingcod, Pacific cod, lots of salmon, all 5 species. Currently over at the hatchery there are the pink salmon, and the silvers have started to come in. I went over last night, and in about 10 minutes I had snagged my 6 pinks, which is the limit for the day, and threw them in the cooler, came over and cleaned them. They're in the cooler on ice now. I'll take them home, smoke them, and can them. Deadliest catch, that the boats tend to sit in Homer in the winter, but during the crabbing season they're out in the Bering Strait, which is north of the Aleutian Islands. I have gone fishing for halibut. That's primarily what I target out of Valdez. My dad and uncles came up several weekends ago, beginning of July, and we caught 3 nice ones, an 85-pounder, a 50-pounder, and a 30-pounder. There's a video for that 3-day fishing trip on my profile if you want to go see those fish. It does look cold. If you're from Florida or the South or Arizona or Texas, then 60 degrees probably does feel cold. For me, 60 degrees is actually warm. I'm wearing a long sleeve t-shirt and it's just right. Nice, Dustin. That would have been probably epic, but I definitely couldn't do it. You can't homestead in Alaska. I think that law changed back in 1984. Unfortunately, if that was the case, I would love to, because improving 5 acres is something that I could probably do, especially for free. Whew, 97, that's just, ouch. That makes my soul burn. So, we're here in Valdez, Alaska, the boat harbor, on the small boat harbor. Everybody kind of a 360 tour. You can actually see most of the town from here. A couple of restaurants. The only franchise restaurant is a Subway, and that's over by the Safeway. It's kind of more of a teal green. Frank, it's all of it is glacial runoff from all the glaciers around here. And you've got 6 or 7 or 8 rivers and streams that are all glacial runoff that feed into the Valdez Arm. So it is really this beautiful. Pictures don't do it justice. Heat index. Ugh. I feel bad for y'all. I wish you could be here chilling out in some nice Alaskan air. Obviously, I prefer the cold. That's why I live in Alaska. Chose to make it my home. Well, thank you, Frank. It's kind of a love relationship. I do love Alaska, so it's something that when I got stationed up here the first time, it was just wow, and I took it to heart and read a lot about the history and a lot about the state. Fishing for me, Josh, not so good. My boat's broken. I did catch my 6 pinks from shore yesterday. About 6 o'clock tonight, the charters will all be back and we'll see their catch, but usually the fishing's pretty good. Is property high in Alaska? That depends, again, what you're used to. If you're used to like Louisiana and the South property where 3 or 4 bedrooms, 150, then yeah. But if you're coming from California, it's about the same. My house is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot with attached garage, and it was $220. Loving the Pacific Northwest. That's where I grew up, was Washington. Come on up. We love our visitors. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Either you'll love it or you'll hate it. There's not usually too many people that it's in between. Yeah, in reality, it's not too bad. Like I said, I grew up in Washington, so coming from there, it's about the same. But, you know, the house that I bought in Kentucky was on 17 acres. It was 2 homes that are currently rented out. One was a 4-bedroom, one was a 3-bedroom. I paid $129 for it. So, relatively speaking, I got a lot more in Kentucky for my bang for my buck than I did up here. But houses are also built a lot different because of the cold. Everything is 2x6 or 2x8 construction instead of 2x4 to help with the insulation. The foundation is insulated concrete former on footings, so it does cost a little bit more to build up here, plus all of our building materials and our food and everything, including our gas, gets shipped back up here. Best time to visit, it depends, Isidore. If you want to see the northern lights, then either early fall or early spring. If you want to come out and enjoy the nice weather and go fishing, then I would say the summer. There's a lot of people that do come over in the middle of the winter, especially from Asia, to view the northern lights. They go out to Chena Hot Springs, which is about 60 miles out of Fairbanks. And there's a ice hotel, a regular hotel, and then the hot springs out there. And it's away from the city, so there is no light obstruction. So as long as the sky's clear, you're going to see the northern lights. You're welcome. I appreciate y'all joining me while I sit here and enjoy nature, contemplating whether I should drive home tonight, pack it up, or go home tomorrow. But a lot of people from work are heading down this way tonight, so I might hang out for the night and do a little more fishing here in a little bit, since the tide's going down, and catch my 6 salmon for today, and then I'll have more salmon to smoke when I get home. I'll do my best. I don't know exactly where I'm gonna be. Not like it's a small town, and I wouldn't be far away, but definitely it gets crowded up here with all of the charters seemingly coming back at the same time. But if somebody brings in a huge halibut, something that's gonna put their name on the derby list, then I will definitely go live so that everybody can see what we call a barn door, because it's literally the size of a barn door when they start getting that big. I live up in Fairbanks, and I work for a cargo airline. I'm a maintenance controller. I run the maintenance department, the planning department, help all of the mechanics with troubleshooting, make sure the planes and the paperwork are documented properly for the FAA. I just have a little chef smoker. It's, I think, got 4 little racks. It's just a square thing I bought off Facebook Marketplace for 25 bucks. I've had it for a few years, and it works well for the amount of salmon that I smoke. If I were to catch more, which is always the goal, then I would probably end up building me a charcoal smoker in my backyard. And yeah, Jessica, I think everybody prefers their fish without bones. I definitely don't like eating fish with bones. When you find one, it's always like, darn it. Jessica May, I've done both a wet and a dry method. I usually use a 2-to-1 salt to sugar ratio, so 2 parts brown sugar, 1 part salt. If I've frozen it before, then I'll do the dry method and pack it all in there while it's drying. It'll turn into a slurry, leave it in the fridge overnight, and then just smoke it for about 4 or 5 hours until it's nice and chewy. And if it's fresh and I haven't frozen it, then I'll do the wet process, because then it doesn't absorb it quite as much. And that's what I've done the last 2 years, and it's turned out well. Some of them I'll cover in some chili powder, some cayenne powder, and some red flake, and give it some spice. And then also every once in a while on some of them I'll cover them, brush some honey on them as they're smoking, and that gives them a nice little glaze and some sweetness to them. It was delicious. We went through about 20 pounds of smoked salmon in about 3 days. We couldn't stop eating it. Ooh, I love green chilies. Been to New Mexico a couple of times. It was not what I was expecting. I was expecting desert, even though we were out by White Sands and that was desert. I was not expecting it to be as mountainous as it was, which I should have known. That's where the Rockies begin or end, however you want to look at it. But I love green chilies and eggs and cheese in the morning. They're delicious. So over there by those 2 mountains in the background, that's where the hatchery's at, where the salmon come every year to return, and they are thick. You can see a couple of my videos. They aren't quite coming in, but I've got videos of them jumping up to the gate to prevent them going further in the river while they're staging. But I was over there last night, and they were thick enough you could literally have walked across on them. Stanley, this is Valdez, Alaska. Yeah, it it is gorgeous, and if the sun were out, then it would be even brighter. With the clouds, there's a little bit of a haze, but it is absolutely gorgeous. So for those who can and or want to, I can't recommend enough coming and visiting Alaska at least once. You know, it's kind of one of those bucket list items for a lot of people, and I'm definitely blessed to be able to live here and experience it kind of whenever I want. But it is awesome. And thanks, Stanley, for the gifts. I appreciate that. I'll try, like I said, to continue to give content throughout the state this winter. Do some live streams of the Northern Lights, and with the camera, hopefully be able to pick up some good light shows. Let's see here if I can zoom in on this. Clouds are breaking a little bit across the bay here. Hold on, everybody. Try and get it set up. You can see the glacier there breaking through the clouds. Sorry if it's a little bit grainy. But that right there in the middle, that's a little bit of one of the glaciers in the area up there between the mountains. There is a handful of glaciers around here. You can take tours, and they'll go up to several of them, and depending on the weather, see them breaking off, see the icebergs floating. It's pretty amazing once you get out of the Valdez Arm, the different things you get to see. I've seen humpback whales, I've seen killer whales. There's sea lions and seals and otters all over at the hatchery. The whales typically don't come in this close to shore. I wouldn't recommend drinking it just because of the heavy silt content. That's what gives the water the color it is. So it's got a ton of stuff in it. It's not like, I wouldn't call it drinkable, personally. No. And Stanley, thanks for joining us. You're welcome. And I appreciate it, everybody. I think I'm going to call it for now. My phone needs to get recharged. I think we've been at this for coming on 2 hours now. Walking the dock and just sitting here chatting, blowing off some steam. I mean, I guess if you wanted to try it, I just wouldn't recommend it because, yeah, that's what gives the water the color. It's just heavy silt and, yeah, something. Minerals, metals, all kinds of stuff. But I appreciate everybody for joining me. Hopefully you followed, and I'll get the phone charged up and either go fishing or wait around for the charters to come back. Play it by ear. Appreciate it, everybody. We'll see you later.